Growing up as a Mexican American, I was influenced by all the imagery around me, everything that was on our walls, the TV we watched, the food we ate, the different imagery, Mexican TV shows, all that stuff influences my work today. I got into drawing by drawing my favorite cartoons, Transformers, Power Rangers, Batman. I liked artists like Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera, and William Kentridge. He does animations with charcoal, which is something I kind of borrowed from him. I draw the first frame, right, with charcoal, and then I'll get some gesso and paint over it, and you can still kind of see the previous image. And I think that's important because it's like letting the past exist and letting it shape the future. These past events are molding you into the present you. There's a story my dad told me about when he came here. My dad walked here with one of his cousins and his brother-in-law. It was a 15-day walk. On the way here, they were starving. You know, they were walking in the desert heat, and all they had to eat was, you know, the animals that they could catch. And they caught a porcupine, killed it, and cooked it, and they ate that. It's a really interesting story. It's something I never knew about my dad because he doesn't really talk about that stuff. That story, it resonated with me because just to get to this point was all for me and my brothers and sisters. And because he did that, I'm here now and I get to live, you know, a better life. So the Memory Interruption series started back in undergrad. We did a unit on Van Gogh in art history class at the time. And I wanted to do something similar to like where the mark making speaks for the concept. So I started scraping paint on canvas. So there's empty rooms. These rooms are rooms that I grew up in. You know, there's TVs, Speedy Gonzalez. The way the paintings are rendered, so if the walls were pink, I would smear pink and then just keep smearing and then put scratches in it. And whatever happened on the canvas, I just let it exist because I felt like that was the metaphor for just things that were falling apart in my life as a kid that I never really dealt with. Painting was a way to talk about these certain events. So the rendering mode, the scratching and the crudeness of it, that was like the emotions. That's where the emotion lives. That's where it exists in this scene. It's crude and it's messy, and that ugliness and that grittiness, I wanted that because that's kind of how it feels like emotionally, but also I grew up poor. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm proud of what we had and my parents' sacrifices. These things I felt ashamed of in the past, and now I want to show that I'm proud of it. A painting is something that it should be you. It should be naked, you know? And I never wanted to talk about that stuff because it was embarrassing. So I talked about it on the canvas. I showed it because that's what painting should be. Painting was essentially an escape for me. It's like an interruption into the mundane. The very first painting I did was a ceiling. We went to a hospital and I remember just sitting in the waiting room and looking up at the ceiling. And that was burned into my memory. So I did a painting on that. And then the next painting I did was the Speedy Gonzalez painting within the TV. When I look at that painting, I hear the buzzing on the TV. I hear the background noise. I hear my dad coming home from work. The painting itself, that is the emotions. And then the fully rendered image, that's the image that I tied to that event. The thing you look at to get out of that moment. That's why a lot of them have TVs in them, because TV was the actual escape. With the immigration series, I've noticed that a lot of the TV shows, even on the Mexican shows, all of them is narco this, narco that, and just everything to do with these drug traffickers and that culture, which is fine, but when that's all you're saying, that's what they're gonna assume what your culture's about. I use these famous Mexican people like Frida Kahlo. Frida is she's just dressed like a chola. So she's dressed with the flannel and the one button and the hair, the teardrop tattoo. Frida is a very prominent artist, and she's just held to a very high standard. So to show her like as a chola, it means that you should look at a person as an individual and not what people that look like them have done or are doing. This is a part of our culture, but it's not all of our culture. So I use these famous people and put them in everyday like Mexican situations. Like the Blue Demon is gonna be selling tacos, and El Santo is gonna be selling corn, elote, which is like just a popular Mexican treat. I think I'm saying that the overall message is that narco culture is happening, but there's way more to us than that.